All right, so today we're going to try to tackle all 5 of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books
Oh, wow.
in one deep dive.
Ambitious.
It is ambitious. It's a lot to cover.
It is.
But I think we can do it.
I think so, too.
And what helps is that, the listener sent in this great synopsis, and I'm excited to kind of go through this.
You do, too.
Because I'm a huge fan of these books.
Yes, me too.
It's been a while since I've read them.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to kind of refreshing my memory, having a good time doing it.
Yeah, same here.
So to start off,
Okay.
we meet Arthur Dent.
Yes, we do.
He's a perfectly ordinary Englishman.
Perfectly ordinary, except for
What's the
the fact that one morning he finds that his house is about to be demolished.
Oh, yeah, he has some problems with his house.
He does.
They're going to build a bypass.
They are. A hyperspace bypass.
Oh, a hyperspace bypass.
It's progress, you see.
I see. So it's not his fault.
Not at all. The plans were on display
Okay. All right.
at the local planning office in Alpha Centauri.
Well, that makes perfect sense then, right?
It's all above board.
So if he just, popped over to Alpha Centauri,
Just a short hop.
he would have known
Just say.
that his house was slated for demolition.
Precisely.
So what happens? How does he get out of this?
Well, this is where his friend, Ford Prefect, steps in.
Ford Prefect. Now, there's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Ford Prefect,
Yeah.
who, it turns out, is not from Guildford after all.
That-
This is news to Arthur.
Oh, really?
It is, yeah.
So what is he from, if not Guildford?
Oh, he's an alien.
An alien. Okay, that's a twist.
He is, and he's been stranded on this planet, that is to say Earth, for the last 15 years.
Wow, 15 years.
15 years?
Doing what?
Well, he's been doing research for a book.
A book? What book?
This brings us to the titular book of the series, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, so this is like the Bible of space travelers or something.
Kind of, yeah. It's an electronic encyclopedia.
Oh, I see. So it has everything.
It has almost everything.
Almost everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of advice does it have for someone whose planet is about to be demolished?
Well, most famously, it advises don't panic.
Don't panic. That's good advice, I suppose.
Yeah.
In any situation, really.
Well, you got to keep a cool head.
Exactly.
As they say, when in Rome.
Do as the Romans do.
Well, or in this case, do as the Vogons do.
The Vogons, those are the aliens that are going to destroy the Earth, right?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And Ford, being very resourceful, manages to hitch a ride on a Vogon spaceship.
With Arthur in tow?
With Arthur in tow, yes, much to Arthur's dismay.
I can imagine.
And so begins their journey across the galaxy.
Okay, so the first book is called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That's right.
And they end up hitching a ride on this Vogon spaceship.
Yes.
And the Vogons, now, they're not a very friendly race, are they?
Not exactly known for their hospitality.
Yeah, I think they're known for their terrible poetry.
That they are, yes. Vogon poetry is notoriously dreadful.
And they're very bureaucratic, right?
Very much so, yes. Obsessed with paperwork and rules and regulations.
So, not exactly the kind of aliens you want to be stuck on a spaceship with.
No, not really. I mean, I think Arthur would have preferred a weekend in Blackpool, to be honest.
So, what happens on this spaceship? Where do they end up going?
Well, that's a long story.
Give us the short version, though.
Okay. Well, first they have to endure the Vogon poetry.
Right, of course, the poetry reading.
Which is torture in itself.
I can imagine.
And then, well, let's just say it involves a lot of improbable events.
Improbable events, like what?
Well, for example, they get rescued by the Heart of Gold.
The Heart of Gold, what's that?
It's a spaceship.
Another spaceship.
But not just any spaceship.
I'm intrigued. Go on.
It's powered by the infinite improbability drive.
The infinite improbability drive. Okay, now we're getting into some serious sci-fi stuff.
Oh, yes. This is where things start to get really interesting.
So what does this infinite improbability drive do?
Well, it allows the Heart of Gold to travel anywhere in the universe, instantaneously.
Really anywhere?
Anywhere and anywhen.
Anywhen, so they can travel through time as well.
Exactly.
So it's like a time machine and a spaceship all rolled into one.
That's one way of putting it.
And who's piloting this amazing spaceship?
Well, it's stolen, actually.
Stolen. By who?
By none other than Zaphod Beeblebrox.
Fod Beeblebrox. Now, that's a name I remember.
He's the two-headed, three-armed semi-galactic president.
Oh, right, the president of the galaxy.
Well, half of it, anyway.
Of course, semi-galactic president. How could I forget?
And he's a bit of a rogue, let's just say.
A bit of a rogue. That's putting it mildly, I think.
But he's charming, in his own way.
Well, I suppose you'd have to be charming if you have 2 heads and 3 arms.
I guess so, yeah.
So Arthur and Ford find themselves on board this stolen spaceship.
along with Trillian.
Trillian, right? She's the astrophysicist.
She is, and she's actually an old acquaintance of Arthur's.
Really? How do they know each other?
They met at a party back on Earth.
Small world.
Very small.
And they're all traveling together now on this spaceship powered by the infinite improbability drive.
That's the gist of it, yes.
And where are they headed?
Well, that's where the second book, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, picks up.
The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. What an intriguing title.
It is, isn't it?
I'm definitely going to need to hear more about this restaurant.
Oh, I'm afraid we'll have to save that for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back after a short break.
So we left off with our intrepid heroes hurtling through the cosmos aboard the Heart of Gold.
Yes, a stolen spaceship powered by the infinite improbability drive.
Right.
With a two-headed semi-galactic president at the helm.
It's all very exciting, isn't it?
It is. So where do they end up next? You mentioned this restaurant.
Ah, yes.
At the end of the universe?
Well, as it happens,
Okay.
the Heart of Gold is running low on fuel.
Ah, that's a problem.
It is. And so Zaphod,
People brought
yes, he decides to take everyone to Milliway's,
Milliway's.
the restaurant at the end of the universe.
Oh, right. That's the name of the place.
Yes.
So what's so special about this restaurant? Why is it at the end of the universe?
Well, the main attraction is that you can actually watch the universe end.
Really? You can see the end of the universe from your dinner table.
Exactly. They have these massive windows that look out over all of space and time.
That's incredible.
It is. And the food is supposed to be excellent as well.
Well, that's good to know, I guess, even if the universe is ending.
You might as well have a good meal while you're at it.
I suppose so, but what about Arthur? How's he coping with all of this?
Well, he's still trying to come to terms with the destruction of Earth.
Understandably.
And he's also feeling a bit out of place among all these strange aliens.
I can imagine it's not every day you have dinner with a two-headed president.
And a perpetually depressed robot.
Oh, right. Marvin. I forgot about him.
How could you forget Marvin?
He's such a memorable character.
He is, with his existential angst and all.
So what happens at this restaurant? Do they actually see the universe end?
Well, sort of, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't read the book.
Fair enough. But let's move on to the third book.
Okay.
Life, the Universe, and Everything.
Another thought-provoking title.
It is, and I have to say, these titles really capture the essence of the books.
They do, don't they?
So what's this one about? Where do Arthur and Ford end up next?
Well, this time they find themselves on prehistoric Earth.
Prehistoric Earth. Wait, how is that possible?
Well, remember the supercomputer Deep Thought?
The one that calculated the answer to the ultimate question.
Exactly. It turns out that Earth itself was designed by Deep Thought as a giant computer.
A giant computer. That's wild.
It is, and Arthur's brainwave patterns hold the key to unlocking the ultimate question.
So Earth was created just to figure out this question.
It seems so.
And Arthur has the answer locked away in his head.
In a way, yes.
Does he manage to figure it out?
Well, he plays a game of Scrabble.
Scrabble. How does that help?
It's a long story.
Okay, we're running out of time, so let's skip ahead to the fourth book.
All right.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Now this one is a bit more personal.
How so?
Well, it focuses on Arthur's return to a newly recreated Earth.
So Earth is back.
It is, but it's not exactly the same as the one he knew.
And what happens to Arthur on this new Earth?
Well, he falls in love.
He does. That's nice. Who's the lucky lady?
Her name is Fenchurch.
Finchurch, okay, and what's she like?
She's a free spirit.
I see. And does Arthur finally find some happiness?
For a while, yes, but their relationship is ultimately short-lived.
Oh, that's too bad.
It is, but it's a beautiful and poignant part of the story.
All right, well, we're down to the last book.
Yes, the fifth and final installment.
Mostly harmless.
Now, this one is a bit darker.
Darker? How so?
Well, Arthur finds himself on yet another version of Earth.
Another one. How many Earths are there?
It seems there are many.
So, what's different about this Earth?
Well, it's a much more cynical and disillusioned place.
Okay, and what happens to Arthur on this Earth?
Well, he faces a lot of challenges.
Like what?
He has to deal with bureaucracy, Vogons.
Again with the Vogon.
They seem to pop up everywhere.
I guess that's just the way the universe works.
And in the end,
Yes.
this Earth is destroyed as well.
Oh, wow. So even after all that,
Even after all that, yes.
Arthur loses Earth again.
He does, but he also gains something.
What's that?
A sense of acceptance, a realization that the universe is a chaotic and unpredictable place.
That's a valuable lesson.
It is, and it's one that we can all learn from.
So what's the ultimate message of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I think it's about embracing the absurdity of life,
Okay.
about finding humor in the face of the unknown.
And about never forgetting your towel.
Of course, the towel is essential.
Absolutely.
All right, so we've gone through all 5 of the books in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
And it's been quite a ride, I have to say.
It has been a very wild ride.
I'm kind of curious, like, after all that, what are we left with as readers?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that sense of absurdity.
Absurdity, okay.
Yeah, that the universe doesn't really care about us or our problems.
Right, like that whole thing about destroying the Earth to make way for a hyperspace bypass.
Exactly. And, it's funny, but it also makes you think.
It does. It makes you realize how insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. We're just tiny specks of dust in this vast and uncaring cosmos.
And yet we still search for meaning, for purpose.
We do. It's in our nature.
Like Arthur, he's constantly trying to figure things out.
He is. He's on this never-ending quest.
And even when he gets an answer, like 42,
Right. 42.
it doesn't really tell him anything.
Because he doesn't know the question.
Exactly. So what's the point?
Well, maybe that's the point, that there is no point.
Whoa, that's deep.
Or maybe the point is to keep searching, to keep asking questions.
Even if we never find the answers.
Even if we never find the answer yet.
I guess that's the beauty of it, right?
Right.
The journey is more important than the destination.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown, the unexpected.
And about learning to laugh at ourselves along the way.
Definitely. I think humor is a big part of what makes these books so great.
It is. It's that blend of humor and science fiction and philosophy.
It's a unique combination.
And it's what makes Douglas Adams such a brilliant writer.
He was a genius, there's no doubt about it.
So what would you say is the ultimate message of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I think it's about learning to let go.
Let go of what?
Of our need to control everything, of our fear of the unknown.
Okay, so basically don't panic.
Exactly. Don't panic.
And always bring a towel.
Always bring a towel, yes, because you never know when you'll need it.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
I think so, too.
It's been a real pleasure exploring these books with you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this journey through the galaxy.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
And remember, don't panic.